I could have owned a third of Apple Computer for $50,000, and I turned it down. I've got a wonderful family. I've got a great wife. My life is wonderful. I'm not sure that if I'd have been uber rich, that I'd have had all that.
And so I've built a lot of my success off finding these truly gifted people and not settling for B and C players, but really going for the A players. And I found something. I found that when you get enough A players together, when you go through the incredible work to find 5 of these A players, they really like working with each other because they've never had a chance to do that before.
Andrew, occasionally we have a show where we feature a guest that's so big, so huge, that we have to shamelessly use the echo effect. And so on today's show, we're interviewing Nolan Bushnell. Now, who's Nolan Bushnell? Nolan Bushnell was Steve Jobs' first boss. You know the guy who started Apple?
That guy?
This was Steve Jobs' first boss.
Whoa.
This guy's the founder of Atari. You know, like the godfather of video gaming?
Ooh,
This guy's the former owner who scaled and grew Chuck E. Cheese.
The Chuck E. Cheese?
Yes, and on today's show, he shares why uninformed decisions are toxic, why you always have to be a little bit paranoid to be a successful entrepreneur, how he founded the video game industry, why Steve Jobs was the hardest working employee on the planet, and how he went from repairing TVs to starting Atari to growing Chuck E. Cheese, and why you must work to learn and not just to earn if you want to become super successful. All this and more on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom and the side of my heart. I have never been more excited than for today's show. This show today, let me tell you, folks, many of you grew up playing Atari. You played Atari. Many of you played video games. Many of you have been to Chuck E. Cheese. This guy here, Nolan Bushnell, he is the founder of Atari. He's the godfather of video gaming. He was Steve Jobs' first real boss, the great Steve Jobs. This guy was his first real boss. Nolan, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
My pleasure to be here.
So, Nolan, I got to ask you here, Atari, it's such a big company, massive success you've had in so many different industries, and we're going to get into that. But where did you come from? Were you beamed here, or what was your life like growing up? You've done so much. How did you grow up?
I basically was born and raised in Utah and went to the University of Utah. And I've often said that life is more serendipity than planning. And that I think I was the only electrical engineer in the world that had managed a games department of amusement park while pursuing an engineering degree. One serendipity. 2 serendipity, Dr. Evans was the only tenured professor that was focused on connecting video screens to big computers, and founded Evans and Sullivan Computers. And he basically was responsible for what they call the 9 Utah brats, which are Alan Kay, Bob Warnick, Jim Clark, basically the sort of the center of gravity of graphics. I mean, the head of Pixar came out of Utah, and I was the guy who did the games based on some of the technology that we learned at the university, which was cutting edge.
You worked at the Lagoon Amusement Park while attending college. What job did you have there?
I started out on the Midway selling balls to knock over milk bottles for a quarter.
Were you a taunter? Did you taunt people? What was your strategy?
Yeah, it was well, taunt is not the right word. Persuade, perhaps.
Okay.
But the real trick was human psychology. So, for example, you were supposed to run your game at 33 1/3%. So
Okay.
that says that for every dollar you came in, you gave away 33 cents of prizes.
Okay.
And you could control that by how you set the bottles. Like if I wanted you to win one, I could make it so that a hard breeze would knock the bottles down. If I didn't want you to win, I could set the bottles so where it would take a nuclear blast or a major earthquake. So we had a dance, a place where we'd have, Johnny Cash, even Elvis, what have you, come in and put on a concert. And so that would be date night. Well, one of the strategies I used was if the captain of the football team and the head cheerleader came to play the game, he'd generally have as part of his entourage the water boy and the librarian. I would give an animal or I would make sure that the water boy and the librarian won the animal. That meant that I had the captain of the football team every penny that he had.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Upside down.
That's the move. That's the move. And the thing is you at a very young age, you learn these skills, you take these skills. Every one of these skills you learned built upon itself. And at some point you had the thought, okay, I'm going to start a video game company. Where did you start it? I mean, did you start actually just physically building an apparatus of some kind? Were you tinkering? Was it in a garage? How did you start Atari? Where did you start Atari?
Started Atari in my daughter's bedroom, and it was really about what had happened is MSI chips in the space of 6 months went from $2 a piece to 15 cents a piece. And all of a sudden I said, hey, I believe I can hit the price points to make a video game.
Got it.
And so I started doing it, building an artifice, and in probably 2.5 weeks, I got a rocket ship flying on the screen. And I showed it to I had no money. I was associate engineer at Ampex at the time, making $880 a month.
Wow.
And I showed the prototype to a company called Nutting Associates, and they licensed it. And I came and went to work with them after signing a royalty agreement and put Computer Space into the market. Finished it off.
What year was this?
This was 1970.
So when did the first Atari game come out? The first game that was your Atari brand?
June 72.
June 72. And what was that first game?
Pong.
Pong was the first. Okay.
Oh, so good.
Now, when you came
Great
out with your
game.
first game, 1972, a lot of things had to happen. How did you get the capital needed to build this first company? Where did you get because so many entrepreneurs reach out to us and they say, man, you guys have had success in different industries. Where did you get the capital? We just had a listener today, actually, that emailed in about this. And I always tell people, 1, get 3 jobs. 2, live super cheap. These are moves. But there is other ways to raise capital. But how did you raise your initial capital?
Basically, my initial capital came from my back pocket. We were capitalized the company at $500.
Got it.
I put in $250. My partner put in $250, and that was all the money that we raised until we were at about 30 million in sales. This was kind of before venture capital had been invented. Just to put in
Right.
context.
Did you ever meet Bill Draper? the kind of the godfather of venture capital. Did you ever meet Bill?
I did. In fact, I had a opportunity to. I mean, he didn't invest in Atari, but he was part of the. He was, he kind of could have, but didn't.
Now you had you're doing $30 million a year. Now again, people aren't maybe aware of inflation, but inflation is the gradual decrease in the value of money as government continues to print money they don't have. And so the $30 million in 1970. When were you doing $30 million a year of sales? What year would that have been?
74.
74. So in today's dollars, Aaron, you can look that up on the inflation calculator.
I'm working on it right now.
That would be hundreds, maybe 150 million today of revenue. I mean, it's a large. I mean, right? I mean, that's a large number.
Yeah.
At what point did you hire Steve Jobs?
Actually, 1974. And Al actually hired him, but he and I became subsequently good friends.
Al hired him. And who's Al?
Al Alcorn was my head of research or head of design.
Now, I am not going to disrespect a dead man. I'm just kind of quoting some things from Walter Isaacson's book he did with Steve Jobs, which I believe to be accurate because he and Steve worked together on the book. But Steve kind of described himself as being an unusual character at the time he was working for you. Could you maybe explain the character? How old was Steve Jobs, and what was he like as a young man?
He was 19 or 20, I think, maybe 21 at the end. He actually worked for me 2 times. He started out, and then he took a hiatus and went to India to study with a guru, and then he came back and worked for Atari again. And he was disheveled, not well kempt, and a little bit obnoxious. I mean, it was. Steve tended to not abide fools gladly. He if he thought you were a dumb, he would tell you so. That's not a good way to make friends.
Now, my understanding with Steve is that Steve, in his book, he talks about he really, came to get something done, and he loved working with A players, and he just couldn't stand B players or C players. He had a real hard time with it.
Absolutely.
I want to make sure the listeners get something they can apply as a result of this. Are there any character traits that you would say, okay, that's why Steve Jobs did well? If somebody out there is listening and they're at that young age where they have to decide, am I going to go this path or that path? Is there any character traits that you observed from Steve Jobs where you maybe have thought, well, that guy's going to go on to be successful?
He was the hardest worker I've ever had work for me. He was one of the few guys that I'd come in on a Monday morning and he'd be asleep on a futon under his desk. He basically had one speed, full on, get it done, make it happen. And I think that is a characteristic. You can't be smarter than anybody, but you can outwork everybody.
True.
So good.
That's powerful. Now, there's somebody out there that is wondering in the background where you are. Do you live in California? Where exactly do you live?
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. And can you describe the room you're in for people out there that maybe can't? A lot of people just listen to the show. Some people watch it. What are we seeing behind you?
This is a lab that I have in which I'm essentially surrounded by computer screens, and I have all kinds of little cubbies that are full of things like resistors and capacitors and Arduinos, and basically I solder here. I can.
How many screens do you have in front of you? How many screens do you have?
7.
7. Okay, 7 screens. And why do you have 7 screens?
I think the visual bandwidth is an important thing for efficiency. So when you're on a desktop, you're really not looking at pictures like this. You really want it to be like this so that you can scan things with your eyes. So like I have one screen that is strictly email. I have another one that is all my calendar information and then my work day stuff. And And then then there's one that's a news feed.
Now, Randy Pausch wrote the book called The Last Lecture, and he was basically oddly healthy, but he knew he was going to die. And he wrote this lecture, and he talked about how having multiple screens is really, he's a Carnegie Mellon professor. He talked about multiple screens allows you to be much more efficient. I am right now working. I have 4 screens in front of me, and I think just even going to 2 screens is so powerful.
How big are your screens?
My first screen in front of me, the one I'm looking at you at now, is I would say 40 inches. The one to the right where I keep extra notes if I need to pull in data or citations, that one's about 30 inches. The one to the left of the one I'm looking at right now, that's about 35 inches. And then I have a Mac that's, again, about 30 inches. So 30, 35, 40. How big are your screens?
You've got some good bandwidth. Now, another question. Are they all the same resolution?
They're not all the same resolution.
Okay. Because what I find is that there are certain things that I want a lot of data, but I don't need a lot of clarity, and other places that I want a lot of clarity. And, so if I'm reading something, I want it it's basically a screen that amplifies the size of everything. And so I like to have that flexibility of choosing quickly and easily the resolution that I'm looking at.
What I'd like to do, if I could, and this will be probably the most unusual interview of all time, but I have so much I want to ask you, and I want to try to go big and then kind of get into to some of the habits and details and routines you do, because I think there's a lot to learn there. Can you maybe share with the listeners, because you didn't just build Atari. It wasn't like, okay, that was it. You went on to then be the Chuck E. Cheese guy. And then you went on to, can you kind of just give us, if you were sitting there giving us a recap of your career, could you maybe share with us all the things you've been able to do? Because it's truly fascinating, and I'd love to hear it direct from you.
Okay, my first big entrepreneurial thing was I was a TV repairman when I was 10 and 11. And I set up a TV repair route in the days when, everything was a house call because the TVs were big and bulky and heavy. And so I always got used to having a lot of money, even though I was a poor boy from Utah.
Got it.
But compared to my friends, I always had more cash.
Yeah.
Then I did am I going back too far?
No, this is great. This is great. This is your world. I'm just invading your space.
And then I started a thing called the Campus Company, which created a blotter that had the calendar events for the university and sold advertising around the edge. And that the economics there were I could sell about $3,000 worth of ads, and it cost me $500 to print, and I'd give them away at the beginning of every quarter. And it was really a good business. I mean, in college, I was putting myself through school and driving a 190 SL Mercedes.
Wow.
And
nice.
So that was how I came to work at Lagoon. And my theory was I was making so much money, the worst thing I could do is have summer nights free in Utah, because I would spend it all on girls and fun.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm just going to get a fun job that just keeps me occupied and out of harm's way. And so therefore I ended up at Lagoon, which was a minimum wage job, which, but then I found out that you got commission if you went over quota. And I found that I was pretty good. And so I was, I basically was doubling my salary based on quotas.
There's a teaching moment there that I want to make sure the listeners get. People always ask me, they'll say, Clay, why are you volunteering? There was a church back in the day. I volunteered, and I would do the voices for the puppets. And people would say, why are you, in your late 20s, financially successful, why are you doing voices for puppets at a church service when no one knows it's you? And I'm going, I just feel like in the future, that is a skill I want to learn, is how to switch voices. Not really knowing how that would work. And then people say, you're a disc jockey. Why did you go from disc jockey to dentistry? Why did you invest in dentistry? And I'm going, well, had some teeth that needed to be fixed, wanted to get myself. And I figured if I'm going to get veneers, I might as well figure out a way to pay for them. So I worked with a dentist, scaled his business, did a little dentistry on my own face. It paid him to do so. And I realized, wow, that's now I can go into medical, disc jockey, voices. And then they say, how do you have a podcast with 500,000 listeners? And you're like, well, the ability to do different voices and to know how to scale different industries and mix music, it all comes together. But a lot of people won't take a job working at Lagoon Amusement Park for a low pay when they already have a lot of money. You were already making a lot of money, and you said, I'm going to go work at this job for minimum wage, not knowing there's even commission, and had a good attitude about it. Do you think that's a principle that people need to work to learn and not so much to earn? Is that something that's a principle you believe in, or what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. In fact, my advice right now is if you're a high school senior, take a gap year, maybe without COVID, but move to Las Vegas and attend every trade show. I believe that would be the best first year education you could possibly get.
My mind is blown.
That is
That
so
is such
powerful.
an amazing idea.
Real quick, mind blown, just a second.
That is a great idea.
I love that.
Well, and what I think that uninformed decisions are toxic. And when the kid's going to college and they say, what do you want to be? He has no clue.
True.
She has no clue
True.
about what the actuality of what's going on. And I just think that that's wrong. You got to get out and mix it up.
This is something, certainly you don't need someone to pile on and be your hype man, but I just want to point this out. My wife went to college to do broadcast journalism because she's a beautiful lady. She's well-spoken. People are like, oh, you should do, you're the make and model. You should do broadcast journalism. They forgot she doesn't want to. So she became a freshman, scored well. Sophomore scored well. Junior scored well. Senior, the senior year is the first year you get to hop up on the screen as an intern at a local TV station. And she found that every morning these people wake up, literally, and I'm not exaggerating. This is not me ripping mainstream media. This is just the reality. I'm ripping humanity. Humans want to hear about death, gossip, destruction, racism, violence, economic turmoil, bad weather. They just want to. So my wife wakes up every morning and her day starts with, we need someone to go find information about that homicide, about the tornado, about the economy falling up. This is back in 99. And she realizes these people then fight each other over who can get the scoop, who can get the story. And they go, tonight at 6, after the break, we'll be talking about the homicide. And all of a sudden you're you're one-upping each other about who has the worst thing that happened. And it was like depressing, and all the reporters were depressed, and they're all reading, Nolan, they're all reading teleprompters, and when you would sit down and ask them in the break room, what are your thoughts on that election? They would go, I don't know, I just read the teleprompter. No, I mean, it was just crazy, but she didn't have that epiphany till after $100,000 of education was invested. I love the idea of taking that gap year or interning. That's powerful. Do you have any other pro tips for the young people listening right now that are Aaron's got a young man in his family who's going off to college.
Yeah.
So many listeners out there are thinking, do you have any other pro tips out there for the young people, 18, 19, 20, that are thinking about what should I do after high school?
Oh, absolutely. Intern whatever you can get. And for example, you go to a random office building if you're in the city and you knock on every door and say, I would like to intern here. I'll work for minimum wage and do whatever. I want to learn your business. And and just do that. Just get a broad range of experiences.
That's good.
Broad range of jobs. Kind of get in and figure it out. Also, start making a life plan with a spreadsheet of what things are going to cost versus what you're going to be making in whatever you do. And you can decide that you don't need to make a lot of money But then you get a wife and a house and a kid and a dog, and you realize that you probably do need to make some money.
Right, right. Now, I don't want to dig too deep into your personal life there, unless you want to go there. I just want to ask you, did you get married as a young guy? Did you stay single a lot? I mean, because you did so much.
I was married at 22 to a college sweetheart. That lasted for 7 years, and she hated me being an entrepreneur. She wanted me to be in college. She wanted me to be. I was still in college when we got married. We split up, and then right after I sold Atari, I met my current wife. She hates to be called my current wife, but sounds too temporary for her.
Right.
But we've been married for 42 years.
Wow.
And I have 8 children, 2 by my first wife and 6 by Nancy, and we have a great life, and it's great fun.
Now, Proverbs 13:20 reads, it says, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." You might say, okay, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And what I have found previous to this show, I have been super intentional since the age of, I'd say 20 years old. I decided I am not going to hang around with people that have consistent self-inflicted life problems during the day. I'm just not going to. I'm going to surround myself with people that have goals and aspirations, and I'm going to who have positive conversations, period. And I have found that, when I'm in the room with Maurice Canbar, who invented Sky Vodka, or I'm in the room with David Robinson, the NBA Hall of Famer, or I'm in the room with a governor of a state, the conversations and the opportunities are so much better. And they're it's great. There's no gossip, no doom and gloom. It's positive. Oh, it's great. So who do you spend the most time with? Like, who are your homies? Who are your buddies? Who do you spend time with?
I have I'm a member of a group called Metal, and it started out sort of as a Saturday morning breakfast club where they'd have a couple of speakers and a bunch of it's called it's a men's group.
Men's group.
What's that?
It's a men's group. Is it like a religious thing, like a Christian men's group?
No,
is it a coders group?
In fact, we don't talk religion or politics.
Got it.
It's all about helping one another and learning about various things. And I'd say that there are several of the members there that I'm quite close with, that I do things with. Of course, my family. I'm finding that my oldest son is 42 now, and they're really, my kids are really smart.
It's awesome.
And they're part of my brain trust, as well as my wife, and
Your current wife.
my current.
Now, the thing is, you have touched so many things. You went from Atari to Chuck E. Cheese. When did you feel like it was time to sell Atari?
I needed to sell Atari because the 2600 required so much more capital than I could raise at the time.
And when you said the 2600, that was a model?
Yeah, the Atari 26.
Yeah, that's the Atari.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that $30 million a year, Clay, was $187 million when you look at inflation today.
So, Nolan, after you sold the company and you got a check, I'm not going to ask you the amount. I'm not going to ask you how much you sold it for. But when you got the check or the checks, did you set it up where you were getting paid residually, or did you get one big check?
I got, for tax planning reasons, I got a debenture that gave me a big downstroke and then an amount of money for the next 8 years of a pretty good sized check.
When you finally got a big check, did you have a thing that you wanted to buy? Did you say, now that I have this nice check, I shall get myself a burrito? Whatever kind I want. I don't care. I'm getting extra guac. I'm doing the whole thing. Did you have a big goal like that? Did you have a thing you wanted to?
I did a thing where during the sale, I was spending a lot of time in San Francisco and, living in Los Gatos at the time. And I said, hey, instead of an hour and a half drive from San Francisco, why don't I just go from Atari and swing the compass around and get closer to San Francisco. And that came to an area called Woodside or Palo Alto.
Got it.
And I started looking for a house up there. And I found an old turn of the century mansion. It was called the Folger Estate. You know, it was a 5-story house with a ballroom and all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
On 16 acres, pool, what have you. But it was kind of decrepit. And I said, shit, I could do here. And I bought that. And it was just a wonderful house that I was determined to fill it up with kids.
And so you renovated that. So it was like a purchase, but it was also a problem you could solve. So you bought the house. When did you decide, hey, it's time to get into the cheese business, into the Chuck E. cheese business? It's time to get into the. When did that happen?
It was actually before I sold Atari.
Oh, really?
I started Chuck E. Cheese inside Atari. And then after Warner bought it, they said, we don't want to be in the food business, you know, and so they sold it to me. And so I had the technology, you know, in the purchase and one location.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm just going to replicate it, figure out what the things we did wrong on the first one, fix it. And, you know, the first one was way too small. It was only 5,000 square feet. The next one was 25,000 square feet. That was too big. And then the third one was 13,000 square feet, and that seemed to be about right. And that was the template that we expanded with.
Before I open it up for the town hall for the guys here inside the studio to ask you any questions they want to ask, I want to ask you: are there, because you are in a different world than I'm in. You're in California. I'm in Oklahoma. We've interviewed, you know, the founder of the former CEO of Pizza Hut or NBA Hall of Famer David Robinson. A lot of these neat people, but we have not really deep dived into the tech world because it's so far west. You know, there's just not a lot. It seems weird, but geographically we have a lot of Midwest guests and a lot of East Coast. Are there certain people that you've rubbed shoulders with over the years where you go, Clay, you got to have that guy on your show? Is there somebody that's like an unknown, but you're going, this guy, because you've employed so many cool people that I'm sure have gone on to do big things. Is there anybody that you would just say they're an under? I mean, we all know the Zuckerbergs. You know, we all know the big names. But is there somebody out there that you've kind of mentored up that you feel like's gone on to do some big things?
Oh boy, several people. I mean, you know, Al Alcorn is a brilliant guy and fun.
Al Alcorn.
He was my head of research at Atari, and he later went to Apple and then did a stint with several other things, and he's done some neat stuff. I don't know, but I think Jim Clark is a brilliant guy.
Jim Clark. We share the last name, but I don't know who he is. Who's Jim Clark?
He did Health MD. He did what was the name of his company?
Health MD. We've all been there.
He also did Netscape.
And Netscape, a little company called Netscape.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. I'm just, their background. I've never seen your office, but I thought it would look like this. So this is confirming. Now, Aaron Antis, you run Oklahoma's largest home building company. Mm-hmm. What question do you have here for Nolan here, the guy who's the founder of Atari?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, honored to talk to you. Huge fan, grew up on this. I did also want to point out that today, over the last couple of days, my son, I have an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old boys, and of course video games are prevalent in my home. And so my sons are trying to get the new PlayStation 5 right now, and it's like sold out and you can't get it. And so the games that come out with that are always just like so amazing. It's what we dreamt of when Atari Pong was what we were playing. It was like what we thought video games could become. And so the funny part is I talk to my sons and I say, now when I was growing up, I played Pong or I played Tank and then eventually like Pitfall and so many cool games. So like what inspired the game of Pong? Like how did you go, I'm going to make a game that's these two little lines and a little, I guess a ball, although it's a square because there's like 3 pixels on the screen.
A square ball.
Yeah. And like what inspired you to do that? Because it's literally, no, this is not meant to be an insult. It's the most well-known game that really isn't any good at all in comparison to what we have today. But my kids are like, oh, yeah, I know what Pong is. So what inspired that for you?
Pong really came whenever you're getting into a business. The first thing you do is you list all the sports. And you say, we can do sports emulation and things like that.
True.
But Pong was actually inspired by a competitor. And I'd been in the business, in the video game business for a couple of years, and somebody said, hey, there's a company that's showing a video game in a hotel room. And so I went up, and it was the Magnavox Odyssey. Oh. And I looked at it, and the stuff was fuzzy, and it didn't have any sound and no score. And I thought, oh yeah, this is really crappy. But I looked around, and people were playing this game. It was kind of a Pong-like game, but it was silly because you could make the ball move after with a knob and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, okay, but people are kind of having fun with that game. And that happened to be the first day that Al came to work for Atari. And he needed a training project, something that was just butt simple to get through, to learn all the tech. And I described the game to him, and I said, let's give it a go. And he had it developed in about a week, a little less.
Wow.
And then we started tweaking it. And the more we tweaked it, the funner it got. And it was we never thought that it was going to be a marketable product. Then we did it, turned out to be so much fun. And then we put it on location, and it earned massive amounts of money.
How did you market your games? How did you market Pong and the different games that you created?
These were coin-operated games. So basically, you'd put it out in a bar, you'd collect the money after a week, and that was, they were income-generating machines. If the revenue that they earned got around, then there are these guys there's in every city, major city, there are two distributors, and they sell to a guy called an operator. This can be a retired, fireman who has 50 machines out in bars and restaurants, and they go into a bar and say, let me put my machine in and I'll give you half the revenue. And that's the business.
That's the move. Move.
Also, I wanted to know where did the name Atari come from? Because it's like, it sounds like maybe it's a space thing or something. Or I'm really curious, like, how did that name come about?
It came from the game of Go. And Atari, when you say Atari, it's like check in chess. It means your opponent is under threat, immediate threat. And I just thought that would be an appropriate name for a company to warn all my competitors that they are under threat.
Nice.
I love it.
Now I want to respect your time, so we have 3 questions in 5 minutes. Josh Wilson, this guy runs a company. They do outdoor irrigation systems. His company's called Living Water Irrigation, OK.com. There's a fly that's flying right by me. And Josh, what question do you have? I'm sure you grew up playing some Atari. What questions
we
do you
did.
have?
I had 2 older brothers, and it was a constant argument and fight. And it was great. Yeah. So you started a lot of fights in the Wilson household. So my mother is very grateful for that, Nolan.
This is true in my house too, John.
So, make you strong. Yeah. Make you strong.
Absolutely.
Walk away.
I have beat my brother with an Atari controller before.
That's a truth. I lost one of the paddles. Anyway, but we digress. So I thought that advice for young folks was absolutely one of the most powerful things we've ever heard on our show.
Yeah.
Of moving to Vegas for a year and going to all the trade shows.
Powerful.
So for a lot of our listeners or entrepreneurs who are actually living it right now, what would you advise them? What would that big piece of advice that you offered for young folks?
If somebody's maybe a young folk out there that owns a company
that's already operating, that's already doing
it,
and you obviously did it multiple times, Nolan. So what would you offer?
Always be a little paranoid, and figure out that if you're doing something successful, somebody's going to notice that you're doing something successful. Think they can improve on what you're doing and take you out.
Wow.
So you have to always be paranoid and say, what kind of company could take me out? And then you have to be that company. And I call it the eat your babies paradox, where, you know, you have your baby, you nurtured it in terms of the concept of your company and everything like that. But every once in a while, you have to cannibalize that in order to move forward.
Wow.
The failure of Atari was they didn't allow they didn't move on with new technology. They thought they were a software company and that it would go on forever, because Warner put in all record executives, and they didn't realize that they were also in the record player business. And so when they didn't now we take it as a axiom that there's a new piece of hardware every 3 to 5 years. And at that point in time, I thought that the 2600 should be replaced in 2 to 3 years, because there were so many trade-offs, and Warner didn't want to do it, and that was one of the reasons why I left.
Now, James, you're an attorney from Manhattan.
Yes, hi.
And you grew up. You were familiar with the Atari growing up as a kid, my friend.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
what question would you have for Nolan, my friend?
Hi, Nolan. Nice to speak with you, and I agree with Alan. It is certainly Aaron. Excuse me. It is an honor to speak with you. The question I have is, was there ever any game or concept that was kind of on the drafting table that you decided to scrap, and then later, even decades later, thought about, man, that could have been a great idea, and if so, what was it?
Interesting question.
I think James is getting ready to launch a new, maybe a new console called Butari.
Yeah.
Right.
The 2700
version of
Yeah.
Atari. Yeah.
What a couple of things that I kind of put the kibosh on, and this will sound very quaint, is that I wouldn't allow Atari games to commit violence against a person. That you could shoot down a tank, you could shoot down an airplane, but you couldn't shoot a person. And
That's why it was
and that
Space
was-
Invaders instead of Face Invaders. Then probably.
yeah, and what I felt, believe it or not, the early days of the video game business, it was controversial. There were Senate hearings and
I
various,
remember.
in some countries, outlawed video games.
It's
They
true.
thought they were bad for the people, bad for the employed. And not realizing that video games are kind of the training wheels of computer literacy. Like, I know no programmer that isn't a gamer. And so I just didn't want to add the idea of violence against people to that issue.
That's great.
I will say that there are a lot of studies that show that you might have had some wisdom in not wanting to do graphic violence against people. So you never know these things until years and years and years of research are done. But this is I appreciate that stance. I do. As a father of kids, I do appreciate that stance. Now we have time for one more question. This is Pastor Craig Hagan. He runs a church called Rhema Church. It's a mega church. They have thousands and thousands of members. And they've actually launched thousands of churches all across the world. And Craig, you probably grew up playing some Atari, right?
Oh, yeah. I had Pong, and I had the Atari 2600.
Oh.
We just called it the Atari,
Well, what final question would you have for Nolan Bushnell? Nolan Bushnell.
All right. I love Atari, but I want to ask you a question about Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh.
My wife, actually, her very first job was at Chuck E. Cheese, and she, sometimes she was Chuck E. Cheese. And it's just a phenomenal concept. I mean, my granddaughter, it's her favorite place to go. And I think it's because of Chuck E. Because, there's other places that have kind of taken your concept and kind of maybe gone a little bit further, but she still likes Chuck E. Cheese better because of the mouse and all the figures. So what was kind of the idea and how'd you get the idea for the Chuck E. Cheese franchise?
it was really about vertically integrating towards the market. And we were selling video games, coin-operated video games at the time, for $1,500 to $2,000. But in their life cycle, they take $30,000 to $50,000 in coin drop. So it didn't take rocket science to say I was on the wrong side of that equation. And so what I wanted to do was to create a chain of massive arcades and disguise it as a pizza parlor.
I love it. That's awesome. Brilliant.
Nolan.
And I felt that the kids who were going to want to be in the game room, I had to keep the parents amused so that they'd stay longer. And so that's where the robotic animals came. If you listen to the scripts, they were all aimed more at adults than they were at kids. The birthday party, that was all for kids. But really it was to make the game, the waiting time for the parents while they're sitting at the table less painful, less boring.
So give them something to do.
Brother, I appreciate you so much for being on the show. I know that you're a busy guy. You're always tinkering, working on projects, business deals, always committed to your family. And I really do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us. And I'd like to ask you, is there a website where you would like to direct our listeners to visit to learn more about you? Or is there an action item you'd like our listeners to take? I know you're certainly not out there marketing yourself. You're not out there, trying to pitch a book. You're just doing this out of your own goodness of your heart. But
No. Here comes the commercial.
Okay, do it. Yeah,
bring it.
I'm working on a company called Versix, and we are going to have a Kickstarter for a game called Screen Test. And we're building board games, family games, that are enabled by the Amazon Echo and the Google Home. So now we have technology enhanced board games. So these smart speakers, they can throw the dice, they can add sound effects and music, they can time things, but more than that, they can provide a synthetic, verbal, non-playing character.
Wow. So if people want to learn more about that, they go to Kickstarter and then look at how do they...
I think it's going to be up in December 2nd, December 3rd.
And they'll look for Screen Test. You're calling it Screen Test?
Yeah.
Is that Versix? How do you spell that?
Virsix.
Okay.
Virsix. Nolan, it is a pleasure. I thank you for being...
I got one more.
No, do it. Yeah, no, do it.
I'm also on the board of a company called Perrone Robotics that has the best stack of software for automated automobiles. And they're just doing some wonderful things, and they're going to be doing a WeFunder. And I think that that an investment in there can be extraordinary, because it's one of the things that I've chosen, and I've got a pretty good hit record of picking winners. And the WeFunder will be up probably early December as well. So it's Perrone Robotics.
How do you spell Perrone Robotics?
Perrone.
What does Perrone mean?
It's his guy's name.
Okay. Name. Nice. Okay, so WeFunder, and it's Perrone Robotics. We can learn more about what you're doing there. We can invest there. And then there's Screen Test. You can check that out on Kickstarter as well. Both these our listeners should look forward to this in December. So I'll make sure that we release this show. When in December will these things come out?
It'll probably be the 5th or 6th, something like that. And
Okay.
also, our first game from Versix was Saint Noir, which was a detective game. And it's available on Amazon right now as well.
Brother, I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. You are an American icon, and you're just a treasure, and we learned so much on today's show. Thank you so much.
It's great fun being here.
Take care. And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom. Now they're here. It's the Thrive Time Show, starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. The C's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1. Here we go!
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood.
This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up my good friend Ryan Wimpy, and his dog, Odin. This dog has the ability to eat me, so I'm sort of concerned. I'll pass the mic to you. And Odin, you can have your own mic if you want, whatever you want, Odin. Okay, I'm a little bit afraid of Odin.
Hi, I'm Ryan Wimpy.
And I'm Rachel Wimpy, and the name of our business is Tip Top Canine.
Our business is a dog training business. We help people with behavioral issues and teach their dog how to listen. When I was learning to become a dog trainer, we didn't learn anything about internet marketing or advertising or anything at all. Just dog training. And that's what's so great about working with Clay and his team, because they do it all for us.
So that we can focus on our passion, and that's training dogs. Clay and his team here, they're so enthusiastic. Their energy is off the charts. Never a dull moment here at Thrive.
We've been working with Clay and his team for the last 5 months, 2 of which have been our biggest months ever. 1, our biggest gross by 35%. Clay's helped us make anything from brochures to stickers, new business cards, new logos, scripts for phones, script for email, script for text message, scripting for everything.
How I would describe the weekly meetings with Clay and his team are awesome. They're so effective. It's worth every minute. Things get done. We'll ask for things like different flyers, and they're done before our hour's up. So it's just awesome, extremely effective.
If you don't use Clay and his team, you're probably going to be pulling your hair out, or you're going to spend half of your time trying to figure out the online marketing game and producing your own flyers and marketing materials, print materials, all the stuff like that. You're really losing a lot as far as lost productivity and lost time. Not having a professional do it, it has a real sense of urgency and that actually knows what they're doing when you already have something that's your core focus that you already know how to do.
You would also be missing out with all the time and financial freedom that you would have working with Clay and his team.
We would recommend Clay and his team to other business owners because they need to be working on their business, not just trying to figure out the online game, which is complex and changing daily. So no one has a marketing team too. Most people don't. They can't afford one, and their local web guy or a local person that they know probably can't do everything that a whole team and a whole floor of people can do in hours and not just weeks or months. There's a definite sense of urgency with Clay and his team. I used to have to ride other web people, really ride them to get stuff done, and stuff is done so fast here, and there's a real sense of urgency to get it done.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Clay is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears. yesterday. And we've been learning a lot, which, you know, we've been sitting here, we've been learning a lot, and so the humor definitely helps. It breaks it up. But the content is awesome, off the charts, and it's very interactive. You can raise your hand. It's not like you're just listening to the professor speak, you know. The wizard teaches, but the wizard interacts and he takes questions, so that's awesome. If you're not attending the conference, you're missing about 3/4 to half of your life. You're definitely, it's probably worth a couple $1,000s. So you're missing the thought process of someone that's already started like 9 profitable businesses. So not only is it a lot of good information, but just getting in the thought process of Clay Clark or Dr. Zellner or any of the other coaches, getting in the thought process of how they're starting all these businesses, to me, just that is priceless. That's money. Well, we're definitely not getting upsold here. My wife and I have attended conferences where where it was great information and then they upsold us like half the conference, and I don't want to like bang my head into a wall, and she's like banging her head into the chair in front of her. Like, it's good information, but we're like, oh my gosh, I want to strangle you. Shut up and go with the presentation that we paid for. And that's not here. There's no upsells or anything, so that's awesome. I hate that. It makes me angry. So glad that's not happening. So the cost of this conference is quite a bit cheaper than business college. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business. And I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I'm not using, and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. I would definitely recommend that people would check out the Thrive 15 conference. The information that you're going to get is just very, very beneficial, and the mindset that you're going to get, that you're going to leave with, is just absolutely worth the price of a little bit of money and a few days worth of your time.
Thrive Nation, on part 1 of today's show, we interviewed the founder of Atari. I mean, what a great interview that was. The founder of Atari. I'm not a big video game guy. I don't endorse playing video games. I do think you should actually go outside, meet other people, look people in the eye, go outside, move your body, these sorts of things. However, that was a profound interview. Now, on part 2 of today's show, I'm going to introduce you to another great thinker and a guy who I've had the pleasure to work with and to serve over these past 3-4 years. He's building what we would call a franchise. Now, a lot of times the language, we get hung up on the language because we don't know what it means. A franchise just means that he has perfected a business model to the point where it is scalable, meaning that somebody who's not him can buy the franchise and operate the business with similar results. Let me give you an example. You might go to college to become a welder because you theoretically want to learn how to weld things. You might go to college to become a dentist because you want to become a doctor who practices dentistry. You might go to college to study law to become a lawyer. These are all careers or skills that you learn to pay the bills. And oftentimes you might pay $100,000 or more, $200,000 or more for this education. Well, what he does with Window Ninjas is he's selling a vocation now. What am I saying? He's selling a vocation. So when you go to windowninjas.com, you're paying for a proven system that he's created and that I've had the pleasure of working with him behind the scenes on quite a bit to help him perfect. I feel very good about the brand. So if you're out there today and you're looking for a new vocation, perhaps this is the conversation you need to hear. And with that being said, Gabe Salinas, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
I am great, Clay. Thanks for asking. It's been a wonderful day down here in Wilmington, North Carolina. My call center is thriving. I just got back from Dallas, went to a franchise expo last weekend, got a lot of leads. Man, it's been a wonderful week. Exciting things over here at Window Ninjas.
What I'm going to do is kind of with a football theme here. We're going to go into almost like a no-huddle offense here for just a minute, where I'm going to throw out some rapid-fire questions for you, and then we're going to get into maybe some long-form questions. But I really want to just rapid-fire with you with the limited time we have. First off, how long have I known you or worked with you, just for people out there that want to know? Because I vouch for you. I tell our listeners that you have a great product and service. But how long have we known each other?
We've known each other for a little over 3 years.
A little over 3 years. And during those 3 years, how much have you grown at Window Ninjas?
Well, we have definitely doubled in size for sure. And now that we're franchising out, we're looking to double in size again within the next 3 years as well. So, man, we've had a tremendous amount of growth.
So if somebody goes to windowninjas.com and they buy a franchise from you, my understanding, and maybe you could clarify, is that what's expected for me, if I buy a franchise from you, is that I need to clean windows and teach people to clean windows. That's basically my job, is to teach to clean windows, hire a team of other people that clean windows, and then get objective Google reviews from happy customers. Again, repeat my big 3 things I have to do: clean windows, teach other people who are not me to clean windows, actually, employ people who clean windows, and then gather objective reviews from happy customers. It seems too simple to be true. Is that accurate?
Well, you are 100% correct. I mean, it's pretty simple because we have the system in place. All you got to do is the services that we provide. Be very positive, collect some Google reviews, and then all the magic on the backside is on our shoulders with our call center and our marketing team, and it's just a match made in heaven.
So what happens is you handle the marketing. You have a proven turnkey system for that. So if somebody buys a Window Ninjas vocation from you, you then have a call center that books the jobs for them. You handle all the marketing for them. You handle the cleaning strategies for them. You teach them how to clean windows. How many months, how many years, how many quarters, how many months does it take if someone goes to windowninjas.com and they want to learn how to clean windows your way? They want to learn how to run a franchise your way. How long of a time investment is it on behalf of the franchisee? How much time, I guess, do they need to invest learning how to run a franchise if they buy one from you?
Well, when they come into us, Clay, part of what we do is we spend two quality weeks with the franchisee. Within that 2 weeks, what we do is we teach them the systems that they're going to be using every single day, and we actually teach them the skill of each and every one of our services. So because we offer window cleaning as well as pressure washing and gutter cleaning, and a couple of other services as well, we spend a lot of quality time with them as far as like training and educating them, all the tools, all the equipment, the know-how, the knowledge, and the actual application of the services. And then there's ongoing training as well. We have weekly meetings. We've had follow-ups and things of that nature every single week so that we can make sure that each and every one of our franchise owners and location owners are being successful and following the process. But if they have any questions or have any concerns or have any trouble, they can always reach out to one of our operations people and they can walk them through the steps of whatever the issue may be. So there's always, I would say, Clay, there's always ongoing training, but as far as getting a franchise up and running and knowledgeable and educated enough to where they can go out in their backyard and do business, man, we can get it done in 2 weeks.
So many people spend 2 years. They spend 6 years. They spend 8 years studying business. I got a master's degree from the University of Yada. I see so many people that will literally, they fill out the form, they apply for a job working for me or other people, and they'll say, I've got my master's degree from the University of Who Gives a Crap. I've got my undergraduate from the University of Who Gives a Crap. I studied psychology from the University of Who Gives a Crap. I've got a marketing degree. Thinking about going back, though, to get my doctorate in Who Gives a Crap. I'm not kidding. People go to college for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, and they have no idea how to make money. I talked to a guy yesterday. Man, I wish this guy wanted to buy your franchise. And I'm not, just true story. I tried to send him your way. I tried to send him to OxyFresh. I tried so hard. But this guy, he's got all the degrees. He's got more degrees than a thermometer. He's in his he's probably going to get pissed off when he hears this. I'm being vague, but he's in his late 30s, has more degrees than a thermometer. He claims to be a longtime listener. I don't know if this is true. He went to thrivetimeshow.com. He filled out the form. I don't think he's listened to our show too long, or I don't think he would have asked these questions. But he's like, Clay, I want you to help me introduce my skills to the marketplace in a financially viable way. And I said, what do you do? And he says, I'm a business growth strategist. And I said, have you ever grown a business? No. So you're a business growth strategist. Yeah. Have you ever grown a business? No. Did you go to college? Yes. How long did you go to college? Years and years and years. What did you study? And he has all this theory, but he's never actually done it. So I said, if you were going to work with my business, what would you tell me to do? And he says, well, the first thing we got to do is you got to look at your business and you got to look at the diversity, the equity, the inclusion. You got to look at the diversity of your workforce, the equity, the inclusion. You need to look at your carbon footprint. You need to begin to look at the things that make your business sustainable. You got to look at the impact you're making on the community. And I go, yeah, yes. But these are all based off of the assumption that I have a profitable company. And by the way, 96% of businesses aren't profitable as it is. What advice would you have for the business owners that actually want to grow their business? He says, that's not what I do. I focus on diversity, equity, community, recycling. And I'm going, what? And this is what he's learned after a decade of college. How is it possible that you in 2 weeks
can teach people how to grow a successful company when people in 8 years, 7 years do not know how to do it?
Well, first of all, Clay, we're always looking for great people that have the willpower to understand that knowledge without application is simply hallucination. I think you say that many a times. I've heard you say that, and it's correct. So we find the right people. We bring them into our system. We interview them first before we even decide to give them a territory, and we make sure that we're a right fit. We got to make sure that we're a right fit for them, and they're a right fit for us. Somebody that has been to school for 6 years, doesn't have any application of the knowledge that they've been putting forth over the last 6 years or over the last 20 years, whatever the case may be, they may not be a good client for us, right? And we may turn those people down. But we look for people that are go-getters, understand that they should be doers, and do what is asked of them on a regular basis. And our process is pretty simple. And most of the time when people get in front of us and they decide that they want to join forces with Window Ninjas, they have already done their research. They have already done some sort of business or been in some sort of career that they have taken their knowledge and applied it to that specific field of work, and they want more. And so they typically have a great attitude. They definitely have a growth mindset. And those are the things. We start weeding out the garden pretty quickly by just asking some really good in-depth questions and getting to know the person on the other side of the coin.
I got to ask you this here. Again, I think it's possible to fill our minds with general knowledge you cannot apply, knowledge of, windows, knowledge of cleaning windows, knowledge of Georgia, knowledge of South Carolina, knowledge of the geography, knowledge of Myrtle Beach, knowledge of North Carolina, knowledge of Florida, knowledge of Georgia, knowledge of all the states, the geography, knowledge of window cleaning, knowledge that the internet exists, yet people don't know how to put it all together into a profitable business. And so walk me through why isn't just general knowledge key to achieving success?
Well, I think you gain general knowledge just through going through everyday life, right? Things that you may pick up at the grocery store when you interact with the lady that's checking you out, or how the person, when you're looking for an avocado that's non-organic, and you ask for some help, how that person at that store actually helps you and serves you and facilitates your needs without telling you their story about how grandma has got a bunion on her foot and they had to remove it yesterday from the hospital, right? We don't want information like that. I just want the information of the avocado and where to find it, as long as it's non-organic. So, it's really important that that we find people that are really, really great. It's really important that we find people that want knowledge and are good stewards of actually applying the knowledge that we teach them. We have found that the most successful people in our system do just that. And then we have found that the people that don't last very long around here at Window Ninjas are people that fill their brains with useless information and can't even apply that knowledge either.
So let's talk about the practical steps. If we go to windowninjas.com, walk me through step 1, 2, 3. What do I need to do if I want to learn more about buying a Window Ninjas franchise today?
Well, you can go to our opportunities page on our Window Ninjas website. It gives you a full list of information, a whole host of info, all of the knowledge that you need to understand what it's going to take to own and operate a Window Ninjas, what it's going to cost you, the time involved with that process. And you can fill out that form that's on that page. And when you do that, it's going to get emailed right over to me. It's going to come across my desk. And then I'm going to pick up the phone and we're going to have a one-on-one conversation. And that one-on-one conversation is going to allow you the opportunity to dive deep into what makes Gabe Salinas and Window Ninjas so great, and how we can help you on the other side, right? So we're going to give you as much knowledge as possible. We're going to give you as much information as possible. And then we're just going to keep going down that road so that when you say, yes, you want to open up a Window Ninjas franchise in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then we're going to go ahead and get all the financial stuff done. We're going to go ahead and get all the legal stuff done. And then we're going to bring you into our system and we're going to teach you and we're going to love you and we're going to train you how to be a successful person and run a successful business.
So, practical level, what are the questions that people are asking you right now? People that are reaching out to you, you went to the trade show, you had a great result. A lot of people are reaching out to buy a franchise. What are the questions that people are asking you right now? The people that want to buy a Window Ninjas franchise?
First of all, they like the ones that are serious will start asking me about me. One, how long have I been in the industry? How long has Window Ninjas been around? What do you provide as a franchisor to the franchisees? And man, I love those questions, right? I've been in the industry for 32 years, Clay. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. I've been in this since I was 17 years old. So I got a little bit of knowledge about the window and pressure cleaning industry, right? And so, plus I provide benefits. I always want to make sure that things are beneficial to the person on the other side as well as our company. And, part of the benefits is we run a really tight ship over here at Window Ninjas, and we have a call center that facilitates the needs of all of our franchisees. So our franchisees don't have to have a brick and mortar business. They can run this business out of their home, or they can get a storage unit. It's very cost effective for them. We handle all their calls. We facilitate the customer's needs. We schedule jobs for them. We set up quotes for them. And it allows them to get out there and meet and greet the people in their community, make great clients happy, and be successful without having to take the full load of operating a Window Ninjas business.
Okay. Now, as far as the cost, again, go back to the cost. How much money did you say it was?
$49,500 is the franchise fee. All in, you're looking somewhere between your trucks, your equipment, service packages, things like that. You're looking all in somewhere between 125 and 190K, depending on what options you choose.
Okay, and if someone were to finance that, like a car, a lot of people that buy an OxyFresh, they tend to get a business loan. If somebody gets a business loan, essentially you're buying, it's almost like you're buying a couple Suburbans is what your car payment would be like, or in this case, your business payment. Talk about that, because I think a lot of people are leery to invest in their business. They're willing to borrow money to buy a car they don't need, to impress people they don't know, but for some reason they're concerned about borrowing money to buy a business.
Well, I would say don't be afraid to borrow money to start a Window Ninjas franchise or any kind of business. One of the cool things that I've done over the past couple of weeks, the big success that we've had, is I've got three different lending companies right now that are willing to finance people who are interested in Window Ninjas and operating a Window Ninjas business. We are in that sweet spot for most lenders, for most business lenders.
Yep.
Our investment is between $100,000 and $200,000, and most lenders that are willing to spend, willing to give loans out to new business owners, that's where they want to be, right? The interest rates are great, the terms are great, and it's much easier to do than an SBA loan. So if you're interested in forming a Window Ninjas business, or maybe some other business as well, you got to make sure that you're looking out for people who have already done the work as far as setting you up for success. So when somebody comes and fills out the form and says, "Hey, I want to take over Tulsa, but I need financing," great. Fill out the form, send me the information. I'm going to give you my guy. He's going to get in touch with you. We're going to get you set up. We're going to get you the money. And then as soon as you get that money in your hand, you're going to turn it back over to us, and we're going to set everything up for you and put you in Tulsa so that you can rock and roll.
Again, it's cash flow, folks. I mean, you're borrowing money, and theoretically, you should be bringing in more money than your payment every month. And that's how you cash flow that business. Again, to learn more, go to windowninjas.com. Gabe Salinas, I know you're a very busy guy. Thank you for carving out time, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Clay. Hope you're having a great day, buddy. Thanks, man.
Bye.
The number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year. We are Jared and Jennifer Johnson. We own Platinum Pest and Lawn and are located in Owasso, Oklahoma. And we have been working with Thrive for business coaching for almost a year now.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to share some wins with you guys that we've had by working with Thrive. First of all, we're on the top page of Google now. Okay. I just want to let you know what type of accomplishment this is. Our competition, Orkin, Terminex, they're both $1.3 billion companies. They both have 2,000 to 3,000 pages of content attached to their website. So to basically go from virtually non-existent on Google to up on the top page is really saying something. But that's come by being diligent to the systems that Thrive has, by being consistent and diligent on doing podcasts and staying on top of those podcasts to really help with getting up on with their listing and ranking there with Google.
And also we've been trying to get Google reviews, asking our customers for reviews. And now we're the highest rated and most reviewed pest and lawn company in the Tulsa area. And that's really helped with our conversion rate. And the number of new customers that we've had is up 411% over last year.
Wait, say that again. How much are we up?
411%.
Okay, so 411% we're up with our new customers. Amazing.
Right. So not only do we have more customers calling in, we're able to close those deals at a much higher rate than we were before. right now our closing rate is about 85%, and that's largely due to first of all, like our Google reviews that we've gotten people really see that our customers are happy, but also we have a script that we follow. And so when customers call in, they get all the information that they need. That script has been refined time and time again. It wasn't a one and done deal. It was a system that we followed with Thrive in the refining process, and that has obviously the 411% shows that system works.
Yeah, so here's a big one for you. So last week alone, our booking percentage was 91%. We actually booked more deals, more new customers last year than we did the first 5 months, or I'm sorry, we booked more deals last week than we did the first 5 months of last year from before we worked with Thrive. So again, we booked more deals last week than the first 5 months of last year. And it's incredible. But the reason why we have that success is by implementing the systems that Thrive has taught us and helped us out with.
Some of those systems that we've implemented are group interviews. That way we've really been able to come up with a really great team. We've created and implemented checklists. That way everything gets done and it gets done right. It creates accountability. We're able to make sure that everything gets done properly, both out in the field and also in our office. And also doing the podcast, like Jared had mentioned, that has really, really contributed to our success. But that, like I said, the diligence and consistency in doing those and that system has really, really been a big blessing in our lives. And also, it's really shown that we've gotten the success from following those systems.
Yeah. So before working with Thrive, we were basically stuck. Really no new growth with our business. And we were in a rut, and we didn't know.
The last 3 years, our customer base had pretty much stayed the same. We weren't shrinking, but we weren't really growing either.
Yeah, and so we didn't really know where to go, what to do, how to get out of this rut that we're in. But Thrive helped us with that. They implemented those systems. They taught us those systems. They taught us the knowledge that we needed in order to succeed. Now it's been a grind. Absolutely, it's been a grind this last year. But we're getting those fruits from that hard work and the diligent effort that we're able to put into it. So again, we were in a rut. Thrive helped us get out of that rut. And if you're thinking about working with Thrive, quit thinking about it and just do it. Do the action, and you'll get the results. It will take hard work and discipline, but that's what it's going to take in order to really succeed. So we just want to give a big shout out to Thrive, a big thank you out there to Thrive. We wouldn't be where we're at now without their help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Moore. I'm a pediatric dentist. Through our new digital marketing plan, we have seen a marked increase in the number of new patients that we're seeing every month, year over year. 1 month, for example, we went from 110 new patients the previous year to over 180 new patients in the same month. And overall, our average is running about 40 to 42% increase month over month, year over year. The group of people required to implement our new digital marketing plan is immense, starting with a business coach, videographers, photographers, web designers. Back when I graduated dental school in 1985, nobody advertised. The only marketing that was ethically allowed in everybody's eyes was mouth-to-mouth marketing. By choosing to use the services, you're choosing to use a proven turnkey marketing and coaching system that will grow your practice and get you the results that you're looking for. I went to the University of Oklahoma College of Dentistry, graduated in 1983, and then I did my pediatric dental residency at Baylor College of Dentistry from 1983 to 1985.
Hello, my name is Charles Colaw with Colaw Fitness. Today I want to tell you a little bit about Clay Clark and how I know Clay Clark. Clay Clark has been my business coach since 2017. He's helped us grow from 2 locations to now 6 locations. We're planning to do 7 locations in 7 years and then franchise. And Clay has done a great job of helping us navigate anything that has to do with like running the business, building the systems, the checklists, the workflows, the audits, how to navigate lease agreements, how to buy property, how to work with brokers and builders. This guy is just amazing. He's this kind of guy has worked in every single industry. He's written books with like Lee Crockrell, head of Disney, with the 40,000 cast members. He's friends with like Mike Lindell. He does Reawaken America tours where he does these tours all across the country where 10,000 or more people show up to some of these tours. On the day-to-day, he does anywhere from about 160 companies. He's at the top. He has a team of business coaches, videographers, and graphic designers and web developers, and they run 160 companies every single week. So think of this guy with a team of business coaches running 160 companies. So in the weekly, he's running 160 companies. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's doing Reawaken America tours. Every 6 to 8 weeks, he's also doing business conferences where 200 people show up, and he teaches people a 13-step proven system that he's done and worked with billionaires, helping them grow their companies. So I've seen guys from startups go from startup to being multimillionaires, teaching people how to get time freedom and financial freedom through the system. Critical thinking, document creation, putting it into organizing everything in their head to building into a franchisable, scalable business. Like one of his businesses has like 500 franchises. That's just one of the companies or brands that he works with. So amazing guy, Elon Musk kind of like smart guy. He kind of comes off sometimes as socially awkward, but he's so brilliant and he's taught me so much. When I say that, like Clay is like, he doesn't care what people think when you're talking to him. He cares about where you're going in your life and where he can get you to go. And that's what I like most about him. He's like a good coach. A coach isn't just making you feel good all the time. A coach is actually helping you get to the best you. And Clay has been an amazing business coach. Through the course of that, we became friends. I was really most impressed with him is when I was shadowing him one time. We went into a business deal and listened to it. I got to shadow and listen to it. And when we walked out, I knew that he could make millions on the deal. And they were super excited about working with him. And he told me, he's like, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to turn it down because he knew it was going to harm the common good of people in the long run. And the guy's integrity just really wowed me. It brought tears to my eyes to see that this guy, his highest desire was to do what's right. And anyways, just an amazing man. So anyways, impacted me a lot. He's helped navigate anytime I've got nervous or worried about how to run the company or, navigating competition and an economy that's like, I remember we got closed down for 3 months. He helped us navigate on how to stay open, how to get back open, how to just survive through all the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us.
This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right?
So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood.
This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
The Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the highest and most reviewed business workshops on the planet.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. the reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.